Well, anyway, let's talk about Deborah Bonham. And welcome to Get the Lead Out here. And welcome to America.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me here, Carol.
And the first thing is you are very well known in England. And people here don't know you. So we've got to change that.
Well, that'll be great.
Yes,
Thank
so
you.
what now? So you have been a recording artist since. You have to tell us about yourself.
Oh, I guess, I started years ago. When you grow up in the household that I grew up in, music's going to be in your blood, so it's sort of, I had to go along that road. But I wanted to do it the way I wanted to do it. I enjoy writing my own songs, and I really wanted to do it my way, I guess. And that involved lots of different people jumping in and having all manner of ideas off the back of Led Zeppelin and this. It's like, no. So it's taken me rather a long time, because I keep turning things down. But I then got very... I've known him all my life, I guess, but we'd lost touch, and I met up again with Paul Rodgers purely... He was doing a tour in the UK, and they needed a support artist, and he didn't know it was me, so I got the gig without him.
Oh, wow.
Without nepotism, really. But and we became really close, him and his wife and myself, and he's really been so great, because he brought me over to the States last year to do...
Yes, you were on a very big tour last year.
Yeah, we did the Stars Align tour with the wonderful Ann Wilson. Oh, love Ann. And Jeff Beck, of course.
Yes, Jeff Beck, Ann Wilson, Paul Rodgers,
yeah.
and you. That is
I
an
know,
amazing bunch of people, too.
I was pretty, I had to pinch myself a few times.
I could imagine.
And especially, because one of my favourite albums when I was about 16, 17 was Dreamboat Annie. So there she is, there's Ann Wilson, and I'm like, I was such a dork. You wouldn't believe it, honestly, Carol.
No,
I was a dork. I went all giggly and went, oh, hello, Anne.
But you're such a Zeppelin fan. She must have that relationship with you, too.
And she was so lovely and generous,
So
really beautiful.
So how many albums? You have a new album called Spirit, right?
Yeah.
There are 15 songs on there.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very, some bluesy, some a little more poppy.
Yeah.
And there's one with your friend Robert Plant playing the harmonica.
Yeah.
Now, which one is that? What's the name of that song? Tell us.
What It Feels.
Okay.
I was thrilled that he agreed to come and play. I mean, I didn't ask him to sing. I actually asked. I keep meaning to say to him, hey, did you think it was funny? I didn't ask you to sing, because on the last album, the one before that Duchess album, Paul Rodgers did a duet. So, but I just thought, it'd be a bit too, it'd be a bit too weird.
No, not really. He
maybe
sings
the next
with all
one.
these people.
I know. Maybe.
Why can't he sing with you?
We did. He's come to a few shows and got up, and the audience.
Your birthday or something?
Yeah.
You saw a video.
The audience, of course, they had no idea, and then they're sort of sitting there going, "Oh, wow!" So it was lovely. But no, he played harmonica, and it's amazing. So.
And this is your. How many albums into it are you now?
Spirit's the. I don't really talk about the first one because that was 1985 with a record company that took me to Germany, and it all became a bit, in the 80s type of.
Right.
Yeah, so we forget about that one. But then, so Spirit is the third. It's the fourth album, really.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, are they all on the same record label?
Yes, we've just done a deal with Quarto Valley Records, which I'm thrilled about, because that was the label that have got Paul Rodgers.
Okay.
And when we did the UK,
great,
we did the UK tour, and we did a live at the Albert Hall.
Yes.
And Paul he was so generous. He just said, well, put Deb on it as well. So that was great, and the album went to number 2 in the Billboard chart. So it's done great.
And that's all in England. And I guess was there a conscious effort to say no, we don't want to bother with the States?
No, it's always been looking for somebody to bring us.
Oh, okay.
It's as simple as that. I mean, people say to me, "Oh, why don't you come here? Why do you?" It's like you can't do anything unless you've got agents and people that
Right.
are going to bring you, you know, or try to work things out for you.
And it's so
and it's
difficult
not,
now.
It is, and it's not really ever happened that there was someone, and now that someone, because I did the Stars Align tour,
Yes.
Courtauld Valley were there,
Yes.
and watched me do my
Right.
my own stuff, and just said, yeah, let's do something. And then Gary Nesbitt, who I'm now working with, he was there and went, why haven't we heard of you?
That's right.
And I said,
The
well,
same question that I was asking.
so I just said, well,
Sure.
I just needed someone like you to come and help, you know. So it seems now that things are starting to come
Yes.
together.
And we're going to be. I have been talking about you on the radio and
Oh,
mentioning
thank you.
I wish. Well, there we'll talk about the radio later. But we're talking about your recordings now. You have a particular, like a very bluesy. How would you describe your style?
Yeah, very much so. It's a sort of bluesy rock. I mean, you know, I grew up listening.
Yes,
and
your influence.
well, a lot of it's soul, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a big Aretha Franklin fan, but I also loved Joni Mitchell. I loved Janis Joplin, and I loved all the guy singers as well. I mean, you know, I grew up listening to Robert, so, you know, Robert and Paul, of course, and Steve Marriott, and singers like that, you know. But it's just, and then I went back and started listening to people like Mahalia Jackson and you know, that sort of thing. So I've got a real eclectic mix, and that was just growing up in the household that I was in, because my mum and dad were really into the big bands. So Benny Goodman, Tommy Dorsey, you know, those type of bands.
So were your parents? Your mother is still here, right?
No, they've all gone.
Oh,
They've all gone.
So
Yeah.
Did they perform, or they were just into it?
No, I mean, I think my mom, she always said she wanted to be a musical comedy star, but she she was quite comedic, but anyway, she you know, not at all. They just loved their music.
Well, now here's another question that's kind of related, because I remember I did ask Robert this, because my parents hated this music. There was this rock music, it'll lead you to ruin, it's not a career, it's terrible. How did your parents feel about you going into music after your brother?
They were, I think, probably a lot more supportive because they understood it. No, you know, my mom loved the Led Zeppelin. She was a big fan. You know, we played rock and roll at her funeral. You know, she was a big, big fan. So, and my dad too. So, I think I think when John wanted to do it, I think back then they were thinking, well, you know, what is that? It was an alien world to them, you know. So they wanted him to just get a job, a proper job. You know, none of that sort of nonsense music.
Right.
But they saw his talent, you know, and they were supportive, really. So when I wanted to do it, I mean, it was John who was against me ever doing it, really.
Oh, he didn't want you to get involved in the world? Or?
The world, yeah. And I get it. I totally get it. So, you know, certainly from, you know, when I was in my 20s, late teens and 20s, just a few years after he died, I get why he thought, you know, he didn't want his kid sister doing that.
Right.
And I did do opera. The school I was at, you know, I sang opera at the time, and I think he was sort of okay about me doing that, but you know, it was just in my soul. And after he passed away, you know, I just, there was this nagging, burning thing that was just, you know, I kept writing these little songs, and I just had to have a go, you know, and been having a go ever since. So,
well, when you were, if you don't mind if I ask, some things about you growing up in Led Zeppelin. Now, your brother's in Led Zeppelin. How old are you? You going to school now? And
yeah, I was about 6 when he joined. So, yeah, I mean, I guess back then I didn't really think about it.
When you got you're older. I mean, he was still
Yeah, I mean, I think that's when I first decided when I went and saw them play, and they
Did you
played.
ever just see it? You saw them around the house all the time?
Oh yeah, no, we all lived together. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
and and Robert was always there, and lots of other players. I mean, we were in, the Midlands in the UK. Sort of around Birmingham, in the centre of the UK. It's been a hub for great musicians. Some of the greatest players have come out of there. I mean, Black Sabbath, Cozy Powell and Carl Palmer, and all these people.
I actually went to see Cozy Powell in 1974. I
Yeah,
think it was all
he's
the
a
way up
lovely guy. There was so much great music there, and they'd all congregated our house.
Really? So do you have let's see, any kind of a story, a couple of stories you can tell us?
Oh, only not from me personally, just my mom.
No, I mean about them in the house. Like
Yeah,
you go out and who's sitting there? What are they doing?
They'd just all be, I guess, talking about how they were going to conquer the world, I guess. But a lot of them would stay over, at night. And then you'd hear my mom in the morning with the vacuum cleaner singing Doris Day songs.
Oh, that's funny.
And going round them, budging them to move. And it was years later, and John would often get the vacuum cleaner out and go, who's this? And he'd go round going, on a clear day, pretending to be my mom,
That's
It was so funny. So, yeah, it was good.
That must have been, for anybody else, it's a very different world to have all these musicians around all the time. Were they always... Would you hear a lot of singing in the house, or were they just eating?
Probably just eating. I don't think any of them had enough money to eat. So my mom used to feed everybody.
Wow.
She used to make these big pots of stew. So yeah, I think it was more eating. So
when was the first time you went to one of their shows?
I was trying to think of that actually the other day. I thought, what was the first one it might have been Bath Festival, and I probably wasn't any more than 6 or 7.
That was 1970, I think.
Yeah, so I was pretty young then. So yeah, no, 8. I would have been 8. And I went to see them afterwards. They played at Birmingham Town Hall, and there was this place called the Odeon in Birmingham. So just held about 2,000 people. They just got Led Zeppelin 1 going, and they were a bit of Led Zeppelin 2. And the Mellotron broke down, and I remember Robert had to just do some improvisation. He just started singing, but the place was going nuts. And I remember looking up, and there was a balcony, and they were hanging over and headbanging, and I was like, wow, this is all going to come down. But I remember sitting there and watching this and thinking, I want to do that. I want to do that.
Were you going, did you, elbowing people? That's my brother.
Oh, yeah, I did that all the time. Yeah. It was,
did you go to school and people didn't believe you?
I don't think actually people knew. I mean, I went to a convent, so it was the time of the Osmonds and who actually I love. I've not long got friendly with Jay Osmond after all these years, of the Osmonds. He called our house accidentally looking for somebody else.
That's funny.
Can you believe that?
Yeah, that is funny.
Oh, really lovely guy. So, I think Led Zeppelin was just probably a bit too much for the girls at school. But I used to make them come, my little friends would come around the house and we'd play Dazed and Confused.
Oh, wow.
So it would get to the part where it really kicks off and the guitar starts to little, or the bass rather. Yeah. And I'd just look at all my little friends and say, right, now, dance.
That's so funny.
So we'd do that, yeah, but I don't think they really knew who they were dancing to,
Oh, wow.
But as I got older, yeah, of course, people were like, wow, your brother's John Bonham. And now it's almost obsessive. It's like a religion, Led Zeppelin.
It is. I think we were talking about that before, that music has gotten very obsessive. It caters to fans, fans.
That's
like you go to a website. We were saying you like The Who 20, 30 years ago. Yeah, I like them. They're great. Yeah, I like them. I like their records. But now you have to know everything about everybody.
Yeah.
And it's Roger Daltrey's Breakfast.
That's it. And it's that sort of stuff. Yeah. I mean, things about Led Zeppelin has been so well documented. I mean, for the years, it's so much stuff keeps coming out. For me, it's about the music, and they're all good. Very well. Robert's like a brother to me, really, and I'm close with Jimmy and John. And they're great guys. They're lovely guys. They're really, really wonderful, incredibly talented people. And, you know, that's what it's about.
That's just an amazing scenario. When you started singing, did you have any coaching from them or any advice or input? Did you say,
Yeah,
hey,
no.
Robert,
Yes, I
sing?
did. I did. Well, you know, he had a little studio down in the next village where he lived. So, and I didn't know if I could do, you know, I'd only sung sort of opera things and, you know, and I really wanted to have a go. And bless him, he said, well, come over and let's see what you can do. You know, I said, well, I've written this little song. You know. So off I went. And, I think our main conversation that day was about how I was going to deal with this humongous name that I'd got and how I was going to fight off all those that were going to try and exploit that, you know. But, it has been a bit of a double-edged sword. Now it's fine because I've sort of got to this age and proved that I'm not interested really in all of that. I'm just trying to do my thing. And it seems to be a lot easier now. But back then, you know, I was aggressively chased by people that wanted me to
get a message? Or
well, that still happens. You know, I have some people come up sometimes at a show and say, you know, I've got this message for Jimmy. Can you give it to him? And I'm like, okay. And you know, I don't filter stuff. I just put it all in a box and send it, and you know, whatever comes. No, it was more in the business. People are being aggressively, you know, trying to get me to. You know, one guy wanted to manage us, and he chased for ages, and he was quite a big-time manager, I won't mention, but he wanted me to do disco Led Zeppelin with these guys dancing behind me. Can you imagine? I mean, oh dear. So I sort of sat there and thought, wow, okay, I'll get my coat, you know. So, you know, bit of a double-edged sword, but it's great now, and also, I think, for me, I wouldn't have wanted it any other way. You know, I'm extremely proud of what John achieved, and one of my all-time favourite bands, of course.
Yes.
And
does it still? It must hurt you. I don't want to bring out hurt in you, but it's painful.
Yes, very. And we just did a beautiful memorial.
Yes, I wanted to ask you. Now I know we collectively here in the States know there's a statue.
Yes.
And you have something to do with the statue.
Yes. Well, there were some fans in our hometown, Redditch, and they had this idea that they wanted to do this. They thought it was about time that there was a memorial of something for John in his hometown of Redditch, where we were born. And I was watching it from a distance, and they were struggling to get it together, you know. And I sort of kept watching it, and then they said, well, would you come and do a fundraiser concert? And I went, oh, okay, you know, and I went and did it, and then I thought, And so I set about trying to raise the money. And I was worried about how they were going to do this statue, because I thought, you know, is he just going to be stood there with a pair of sticks or something? It's going to look, you know. So we ended up getting a fantastic photograph by a guy called James Fortune. That was crazy because the photograph was taken, I believe, at one of the shows on John's 25th birthday. And it's John in full flight, but turned around onto the timpani, you know. It's a fantastic shot. And we found the right guy to do it. And it's just amazing. And it stands in the middle of the town, you know, on a little piece of ground. It's beautiful. And then we raised at least twice the amount of money we needed, so we've now set up the John Bonham Teenage Cancer Trust nurses for the West Midlands. So we've now actively bringing nurses to kids, teenagers with cancer, because in England, I don't know what it's like here, but in England and the UK, there's hospitals for young children. And there's there's wards rather for very young children, and there's wards for older guys. But the teenagers slip through, and a couple of them that have had cancer have been in beds with, you know, mobiles for kids, little babies over the top of them. So you know, this is it's an amazing charity set up by, well, the team leader is Roger Daltrey.
Yes.
And it's doing an amazing amount of good. So that's John's legacy now.
It is, and the whole Zeppelin thing has become more of a respected musical legacy than just great music. It's gone on and on. Now let me just ask you before, I don't want to keep you too long, the shows that you're doing, because people will see this in time. The first show you're doing is in Asbury Park, and that's tomorrow.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited about that.
And that's at the Wonder Bar.
Yes, and that's with Terry Reid.
Bang, bang,
I've known him for a long time, but this is the first time I get a chance to play with him. So yeah, very excited about that. I mean, it's just great being here. Being in New York and New Jersey, and we go up to Connecticut. And
now your band, how many people are in your band?
There's 5 of them.
Ooh,
no, there's 4 of them. Oh,
okay.
no, there is. There's 4. There's 4. There's 5 with me.
Yeah.
So tomorrow we do Asbury Park, and then we go down to Wayne, Pennsylvania. And then we're at the cutting room. Yeah, we're in.
That's great.
Here.
I'm going to come see you at the cutting room.
Oh,
of course,
fantastic!
Saturday.
Fantastic. Yeah,
and
I'm so excited.
People, I'm mentioning on the radio to come on down, show you support, and then you are going to. Oh, I know where you're going. New Haven.
Yes. That's it. And then we go.
Daryl's.
I know. I love Darryl.
Now that's exciting.
Hall.
That is owned by Darryl Hall.
Yeah, I know. I love him. I keep sort of mentioning it. I think I've started tweeting him just to say, maybe you could just come down and sing.
Be great. I'll just tell you something funny. I have a cousin that lives near there, and she doesn't really know about popular music. She's into viola and everything, but she's my older cousin for my whole life. And she says to me, there's this new place called the Barrel House where they have shows. I said, oh, the Barrel House. Well, I said, never heard of the Barrel House. And then I said, well, there's a place called Daryl's House.
Yeah. Okay.
I said, Daryl Hall? She goes, no, I don't know. It was one of those,
Yeah.
So in my mind, I keep calling it the Barrel House. But that should be, it's a very nice area. It's up in the country, but there's a lot of music-y people there.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it.
That's going to be great. And you have a very nice, small introductory tour here.
Yes.
And we're going to try to get the word out. Now, where can people get your album, Spirit? Where can we get that?
Well, it's available online at Amazon and all that sort of thing. But, the best place is to just come to the website, which is DeborahBonham.com.
Okay.
Yeah. And we have a Facebook page as well, which is, again, Deborah Bonham.
Okay.
And there's a Twitter that's Deborah Bonham and an Instagram that's Deborah Bonham. And I try to do it. I get a bit... It's a new thing for me, social media.
Don't ask me about it. I'm not... it's too much. But no, that's great. Everybody can find you.
Yes. And
give you a very warm welcome. And I want to make sure we have here on this recording that we say hi to Alan Thompson and Nigel Pierce.
Oh, yes, Nigel Pierce.
And Nigel, get out of the hospital like right now.
Yeah. I wish you all the best, Nigel.
Yes. Hospital, not the hospital. That's what you say. So, Deborah Bonham, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you,
for joining
Carol.
us here on Get the Lead Out. And we hope that everybody goes out and gets your record.
I brought you a T-shirt. I should have handed it over on the video so you could see it.
Okay,
I brought you a John Bonham Memorial T-shirt that we got done.
I usually, this is my fancy clothes. I usually wear T-shirts.
Well, it's black, so it's okay.
There you go. There you go. Well, thank you very much. Let's shake hands.
Lovely to meet you.
Okay.
Thank you.